A mom asked if her 10-year-old daughter could use our employee bathroom. Customers aren't allowed unless it's an emergency, and the public bathroom was like 2 doors down, so we said no. The woman then took her daughter into the dressing room and let her pee on the floor. There was a massive snowstorm, and pretty much the entire town lost power. My store had a generator that could run the basics, but not the refrigerators or freezers. On day 3 of the outage, a woman came marching in demanding to know why we didn't have any frozen food. I explained the situation and advised her not to do a big grocery shop for anything that needed refrigeration, since power was still going out sporadically across town, and I didn't want her to waste money. She responded, "Power outages only affect poor people. I'm better than that." I was in line, about the 4th person back, and this old lady was holding up the line at a Bed Bath & Beyond because she had a bunch of coupons that were expired and was demanding that they honor them. Not recently expired, like expired over a year ago, and she said she didn't notice. The guy behind her, with a thick New England accent, does this. Guy, just show him your special privileges card. Old lady, I don't have a special privileges card. Guy, why don't you have one? Old lady, I don't know. Guy, do you think that's because you don't have special privileges? Old lady, blank stare. Everyone else in line just started busting out laughing when the lady finally figured out that the guy behind her had insulted her, and there wasn't a goddamn thing she could do about it. She just walked out. The guy proceeded to put his stuff down, and the cashier told him that she was going to give him 50% off on the sheet set he was buying. Dude was a legend. We were in line at Disneyland, and I realized my mom had gone ahead of someone who arrived first. I told her, the end of the line is over there, yet she ignored me. After we got our tickets, another woman approached her and said, the end of the line was over there. My mom then kicked her in the shin. I was mortified. I once had to slam on my brakes at a crosswalk because a family suddenly stepped out from behind a bush on the sidewalk. I hadn't seen them at all. The family didn't even react to my tires screeching because I stopped well before they were in the road. The woman behind me, however, saw how hard I braked. Right after the crosswalk, she pulled up beside me, rolled down her window, and started yelling and jabbing her finger at me while driving. A few seconds later, at the upcoming stop sign, she rear-ended the car in front of her because she was too busy screaming and glaring at me in the next lane to notice that traffic had stopped. A man purchased an assembled elliptical machine and tied it upright in the back of his truck. We got a call about an hour later saying that the elliptical was broken and he wanted to return it. He came back and the machine was trashed. He clearly forgot about it and tried to drive straight into his garage, crushing it. He threw a fit when we said he couldn't return it. He said he would sue us for not taking it back and for the damage to his garage. Woman wants my wife's drink. Yes, the actual drink. It's a hot day, and my wife orders a sangria. As the waitress is bringing it to us, a woman stops her and says, "That's a nice-looking drink. I would like it." The waitress says, "Sure, I'll get you one." The woman says, "No, I want that drink." The waitress had to explain to her that this particular drink was already spoken for. Some people, an older guy in a pizza shop, was yelling at someone because they parked too close to the shop, which meant he had to walk farther, like he was genuinely mad that someone who arrived before him got a parking space closer than him. The person was ignoring him for the most part until he started calling them names. Then they looked at him and said, "Oh, go make a Facebook post about it." When I worked at a baby retail store, a customer came in to return a Cozy Coke he got as a gift because it was missing parts. He had no receipt and I couldn't find any missing parts, so I told him I couldn't process the return. He got upset and decided that he'd keep it, but only if I assembled it for him. I was 7 months pregnant. I was shocked. I informed him that I was unable to spare an employee to build his toy for him. He said he didn't want another employee to build it. He wanted me, specifically, to build it. He refused to leave. After a lot of back and forth, the store manager said to just make him happy. Another manager spent her lunch break building the toy because she refused to let me do it. The customer stood there and stared at her while she did it, then left without thanking her. My brother held the door for a pair of older women walking into a store behind us. One of them screamed at him not to hold the door just because she was a woman. He replied, "I'm not. I'm holding it because of your age." I'm a high school teacher who teaches a lot of senior grades, and so has to deal with the graduation grades, references for university, all that jazz. I had a parent of a graduating kid in my classroom in June after final marks were given to students, but not formally reported, who was a dental surgeon in town, ran a large operation, donated a lot to local sports, big man in a small town. I had given his kid a mark in the high B range, and so he marched into my office and started off with the "there must be some mistake" line, which moved swiftly into the "you're going to change it because I tell you to "how much will it cost to get him the A?" When I refused the bribe, he went to "you're fired." Not "I'm going to get you fired," but "you're fired. Clean out your desk." I just asked him to leave. Ended badly. He threatened violence. I reported him to the school admin. He's now banned from the property. A family friend called me out of the blue, all sweet at first, asking how I was. Then she casually drops, "So I need your car for about a week. I have this really important trip, and I figured since you barely drive yours anyway, it would not be a big deal." I told her very politely that I do not lend my car to anyone. She instantly flipped, telling me I was being selfish and not thinking about how important this is for her. For the record, my barely driven car is how I get to work, run errands, and live my life. And this very important trip, a beach vacation with her boyfriend. When I worked at Starbucks, I had a lady come into the store, complaining about how loud the ambient music was outside around the patio. She told me to turn it down. I told her the volume was set at the correct level, and no one else was complaining about it. She then told me she had a right to tell me, and I asked if she was a paying customer. She said no, she was just using our free Wi-Fi. I told her she didn't have any rights, and then told her to please leave the store. Karens, man. When I worked at Starbucks, I had a lady come into the store, complaining about how loud the ambient music was outside around the patio. She told me to turn it down. I told her the volume was set at the correct level, and no one else was complaining about it. She then told me she had a right to tell me, and I asked if she was a paying customer. She said no, she was just using our free Wi-Fi. I told her she didn't have any rights, and then told her to please leave the store. Karens, man. I was working at my usual coffee shop when a woman came up and asked if she could borrow my charger just for a second. No problem. A minute later, I saw her unplug it, drop it into her bag, and start walking away. Me. That's mine. Her. Oh, you wouldn't mind. You probably have more at home. A woman came in expecting us to exchange a used loofah that she openly admitted to having used for the past month, claiming she was obviously a clean person. She was clearly trying to take advantage of our store's no questions asked return policy. The worst part is that she came back 3 weeks later and tried to tell us we had double charged her for the exchanged loofah. We were fly fishing in a park, and a lady started harassing us despite the spot being perfectly legal to fish in. What she didn't know was DR was there doing license checks and stuff, and when they came over to us, she got cited for interfering with us. I got a parking ticket a few months ago. When I was waiting in line to pay it, I started talking to the lady next to me. Apparently, she had just gotten fined under a new ordinance for keeping her work van parked on the street for a month. She was ranting and raving about how the city had become Nazi Germany because of laws like this. Those city councilors are bastards. How dare they? I quietly listened and nodded. Well, I'm on the city council and helped write that ordinance. We have it in place because people like her keep their cars in front of people's driveways and make it impossible for them to pull out in the morning. When I went to the cashier and was greeted with, "Good morning, counselor," her jaw nearly dropped. I worked at a pizza shop as a delivery driver when I was younger. The shop was owned by 3 extremely polite, professional, and hard-working Chinese men, 2 brothers and a cousin. I took a delivery right down the street. I'm talking a tenth of a mile. The guy came out hot about how they shouldn't have someone with such a heavy accent taking orders because nobody can understand what the F*** he's saying, and he just wants his order correct. I let him know that I'd pass on the message. I went back and told the owner who took the order about this guy's complaint. The owner immediately called him and told him that if he didn't like the way he spoke, he could F*** off and order from somewhere else, since he was too lazy to drive 30 seconds to place the order in person. He ended it with, "Do you understand my English now?"